Hello, welcome to the second video. In the first video, we discussed how you can download, register, install and activate Fecund CBT. In this video, we are going to see how we can administer the users, that is the student that will be taking the exam or the test, the questions that will be asked during the CBT exam. You have to load the question into the system. And then the assessment, how you can create an assessment using the users and the question. That is to say, you are going to specify who are the people going to take this assessment and what are the questions they are going to answer. So you can see three items there. The first one is to enter user groups and users. The user groups will help us to group the users. For example, in a typical school, you may have class 1 or class 2 or class 3 or JS1, JS2 or JS3. That is how you can group the users. So the users group is just how to group the users into category so that they will take the same exam. For example, class 1 or year 1 will take the same exam. Number two, we are going to see how to enter question groups and the questions. The questions too have to be grouped, maybe according to their subject, because if you enter 1+1, you have to tell which category or group of questions is this. We are going to group the questions according to their subject. And then number three, we'll see how we can create the assessment. We are going to pick a particular user group and then the particular question group that they will be answering. So let's start. Remember, in the first video, we have learned how to install and how to activate. So in this video, we'll just go straight to the point. Already, Fecund CBT is installed and you can see the icon on your desktop. So what you do is to double click it from your desktop and then you connect. Connecting means you are connecting both the web server and the database server, because the system you install Fecund CBT automatically becomes the server. All other system devices, laptop or desktop or phones or tablet that you are going to use will all be connecting to this server, this particular system, and the information, the question and everything will be fetched from here. So already it's connected. You can see the web is okay, the database is okay. So remember that I told you that once you register and activate Fecund CBT, you automatically become the admin, the administrator, because the registration you made is the administrator's registration and the system you install it is the server system. So you are the administrator, you are the server administrator. So now we are going to open the admin page. That's the first thing you do as an administrator. Everything you are going to do here will be within the admin page. So we'll open the admin page. It launches in your default browser. And here we are in the admin page. You log in with your username and password. I have mine that I use. I'm going to log in. Remember, we are not going to activate. We are not going to register. We have already done that. But perhaps you have not registered or activated the system. There is a link there to register. There is a link there to activate. So right now we are in this login environment. We are logging into the admin page. So I log in. And you are seeing welcome to admin dashboard. In this place, we can manage users, we can manage questions, and we can manage the assessment from here. So you have the manage users in this box, you have the manage question here, you have the manage assessment here, and then you can log out when you are done. So here we are going to start with the user groups, because I told you that every user, every student must belong to a group. So we have to create the group that they will belong to by clicking on user groups. And here there is a default group. I will explain this later, because this is a sub-admin group, is created by default. Sub-admin is if you want to create, maybe you want to create grouping for teachers. For example, teachers will have their own groups. They are going to be sub-admin. They are not going to be the student. They are not going to be ordinary users. So that is what the sub-admin is doing here. But for now, we are not going to work on the sub-admin. We are trying to work on ordinary users, that is the students. So the first thing we'll do is to click on add new group. And then here we can add a new group. Let's start from year 1. A lot of school call theirs year 1. Some will say class 1, some will say grade 1. So it depends on how you want to group, or how you group your student, the names you give to the grouping. That is what you put here. So year 1, I can say add group, added successfully. You can go ahead if you want to add others. Year 2, if you have JS1, JS2, you can also add it. Year 3, you can just take your time to add all that you want to add here. So I've added 3 groups now. I can go back to my admin dashboard by clicking here. But if I want to just go ahead with to manage the users that will belong to those groups, I can just click manage users. But let me go back to the admin dashboard homepage by clicking on this admin dashboard. We are back here to where we started from. Now I've created some user groups. I can go ahead to create on users. If you want to see those groups that you have created, let's go back to the user group. Of course, here they are. You have the year 1, you have the year 2, you have the year 3. You can edit, you can delete if you like. If you want to add more groups, you can click add new group. So we'll go back to the admin dashboard. So this time around, we are going to enter the users, and the users, each of them will belong to these groupings. So we'll go to users. By the time you click here, you'll be able to see the groupings year 1, year 2, year 3. If you want to search for the users that belong to this year 1, the student that belong to year 1, you can pick it and search, but we have not created any, we have not entered any, so just a waste of time. It's telling you that no users found in this group. So we are going to add users to the group now. You come here, all the students you want to add in year 1, for example, you click on add user. And this is the environment for adding users. The first thing is to select the group that user will belong to. Year 1, for example, and this particular student, maybe I call the student John, say John Bassi. Username. Here you have to determine your usernames, because this is what they will use. The username and the password is what this particular user, this particular student, all your students, they're going to need a username and password for them to be able to log in when they want to take exam. So you can derive a username and password. For example, you can use their surname and maybe their registration number. I can say, for example, John 001. You can see that John 001. I'm assuming John here is the surname, 001 is the student registration number, or maybe it is 021, depending on how you structured your system. But make sure it is uniform and it's easier for the student to remember when the student wants to write the exam, because you can just come to the class simply all of you log in with your surname and your registration number joined together. So For ease of logging in, I can also say John 021. Using the same thing as username and password. Confirm the password, John 021. There are other fields, but they are optional. Once you have entered the username and password, the registration number, phone number, they are optional because most schools, this information will belong to their parents. But maybe in the university and colleges or polytechnics, uh, you can have phone number and email of the student. So here you have registration, here you have phone number, and here you have the email. And then you can go ahead, add user. Automatically, it has added the user. So I've added the first student, John. Can come back to this year one again. Now, say this one is Peter, Andrew, and then Peter, his registration number is 022. So I can say Peter 022, Peter 022. Then I confirm it again, Peter 022. You can just hit enter on your keyboard and automatically it will be saved. So I have two students, can add more if I like, but for now let's stop at that. So I've added two students to that. I can go to my manage users, for example. Now I can search out, I want to see the list of students belonging to year one now. I'll click on year one and I say filter. It gives me the list of all the students in year one, right? So you can see John is his username, is Peter is the username. Of course, the password will not be displayed, but just know that the password, is the same thing, for ease of login. So we have two users now. Now we've entered these names one by one by filling the form. If it's not too big a school, the teacher can take the pain of entering them. Maybe you have maybe in a class of 50, class of 40, 30. Not a big deal. The teacher can sit down there and enter them. But in case you have it in another place, maybe Microsoft Word or in Excel, and you want to import it, you can import, but you have to format it in such a way that it will align with the system. So you can import users. So let's go there, import users. So I want to import some users. But first of all, I will have to show you how the format will look like. Already here is telling you that this, for you to import the users, the format have to follow this: surname, serial number, surname, other names, username, password, registration number, phone, and email. Almost in the order we have it in the form there. So let me show you the one that is formatted already. I can use from a text file, can use from Excel and all that. So here is a typical user list that I can import. You can see serial number, comma, surname, comma, other names, comma, like that, comma, 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 comma. So every piece of data must be separated by a comma, and that is why we call it comma separated value. This file is in a text file. If you want to save, when you finish typing, maybe you are using Notepad, you want to save, by default and normally when you click save as, Notepad will save it as a text file, so you don't need to bother yourself. You save it as a text file. But peradventure you want to save it as a CSV file, you can just click here and put it on all files, and then here you can put .csv before clicking save. That is if you just need to save it as CSV file, you use that method. Otherwise, even if you leave it as normal text file as it is like this, because once you save without any extension in Notepad, it automatically saves as a text file. So we have already saved that. We are good to go. Now, assuming you want to save using Microsoft Word, let's take this to Microsoft Word as if we are typing in Microsoft Word. This is Microsoft Word. You can type in Microsoft Word as well, but when you type in Microsoft Word, make sure that you save it also as a text file. You can still the format, but when you are saving in Microsoft Word, you go to File, click on Save As, and you don't just look at it, save as type. This is Microsoft Word, this Word document. So you don't save it as Word document. What you need to save it as is plain text file. Look at it. You use plain text file to save it. You have to select plain text file before you click on save. You can enter the name that you want to use to save it here before clicking on save. Is that right? I'm sure. But there is no need. I've already saved in Notepad, so I don't need to. This is just in case you are comfortable using Microsoft Word to type the list of names, or maybe the list of questions, which we'll see later. You can use Microsoft Word, but make sure you save it as plain text file. So that is that. I'm not saving for now, but in your own case you need to save. So we have created this particular file which we are going to import, and you can see it here on my desktop. Year 1 student. So now I want to import. I go back to the environment, year 1. I choose the file. So my desktop. Where's my desktop? Okay, desktop. The one I save from Microsoft Word is how I label it, year 1 student. Remember, I save it as text and I say open. It has picked it. The next thing to do is to say import users. Right, it says 10 users imported successfully. Remember, we added 2 manually, so to speak, but now we have imported 10 additional. So if you have 50 names or 50 lists of students, you just import them that way. So we can go back to where we are coming from. Go back again. Yes, here we are. Year 1 now have 12, good. We have 12 names. You can still see the one we added before manually. They're there. So this is how to add users, how to add students to your list. If you want to add to year 2, remember you did the same thing. Want to add to year 3, remember do the same thing. If you are clicking add, you have to pick where you want the group you want to add to. You pick the group from this list before you type it in. If you are importing, the same thing, you come to import. You have to click here and pick the group you want to import the users to, the class you want to import the users to, so to speak. So that is that for that. Now we go back to admin dashboard. We are done with manage users. Now how to manage questions. The same way the questions have to be grouped. So we have to create the groupings first. Question group, I click on it. It said no question group found because we have not none. So you start by adding the groups. Add new group. Here I will group it according to subjects. Maybe maths. And just type maths. But we are going to have maths for different classes. May have math for JS1, may have math for year 1, year 2, and so on and so forth. So you have to look for a way of differentiating it. So for example, I can call this one math 1. It will mean that I'm referring to math for those in year 1, or I can call it math dash year 1 that way. If you like, you can write it in full, maths year 1, right? So however you want to write it, but just be consistent. So let's use this maths year 1 or year 1 math, whichever. I can add another maths year 2, maths, so maths year 2. I can add another maths dash year 3, and so on and so forth. I'm done with it. Can go back to manage group. Either click here, manage questions, so I'll just go back to manage group, whichever. So here I can see the groups of questions. So we are grouping them according to the subjects and their class. Maths year 1, maths year 2, maths year 3. So now when we are creating questions, with maths question, for example, we'll have to tell where this math question will go to. Can also create for other subjects, English year 1, English year 2, English year 3, and for other subjects. That is how you group it. If it's not maybe a normal school system, maybe it's just a training center, maybe you have something for general paper, you can create general paper year 2025, general paper, current affairs, so on and so forth. You have to group, create your groups in that order. So you can edit as usual, you can delete. If you made a mistake while you are typing, you can click on edit, and then you correct it here and you save, right? Now we are done with that. Now how to manage the questions that will go in here. You create the questions that will go in here. So we'll go back to manage question. If you click here, you can see the question group for year 1, year 2, year 3. Right now we have not created any, so if you filter, it will tell you there is none. So how do we add question? The same way we add users, students. So add question. Here you pick which of these groups will this question fall into. Maybe the teacher, lecturer, or whoever is in charge of this math for year 1 can just feed in the question. Or maybe assuming this is, let's say this primary 1. So I can just say 2 plus 2 equals maybe dash, equals question mark. And then what is the question category? You have single, you have multi, you have true and false, you have short. A single choice, it means the student can pick either A, B, C, or D. Multiple choice is that 2 or 3 answers can be correct. So the student can pick A and B and C, or A and B, or A, C and D. That's multiple choice. True and false is when you're asking a true and false question. While short answer is when you expect the student to just type in the correct answer instead of picking from an option. So for now, it's a single choice. And then 2 plus 2, I say option is 5, option A is 5, option B is 6, option C is 4, then option D is 0. We are dealing with year 1 primary 1, so because the correct answer is option C, so here you put correct answer option C. You just type C there. This will enable the computer, the CBT software application, to be able to mark the correct answer without you marking, because we have already provided the answers. So even if you have 100 questions, 100 students, 1,000 students, computer will automatically mark each and every student based on the answers they have provided. So you can have a preview of how it will look like. during the exam. So it will look something like this. The question will be 2 plus 2. The options will be A, 5, B, 6, C. This. Then correct answer will be there. So it's just a preview. And then when you are done with that, you can add. Remember, if the question have any image you want to show, you can pick the image file from here and just say choose file, and then you'll be able to upload the image. For now, we have added one question, and then I want to add another. Let me say 3 minus 2 equals dash. However you want to present your question, equals dash. And which question type is single choice? So I can say 3 minus 2 actually is 1. So option A is 1, option B is 2, option C is 3, option 4 is 4, and then A is the correct answer. Then I add that and just press enter to add, and then let me pick maybe true and false question still on year 1. I can say a square have a square has 4 sides. Square has 4 sides. So the question type here will be true or false, right? So here now, what is the correct answer? Correct answer is true. And just type true. Small letter, capital letter, but I always prefer capital. True. Right? It's telling you can use true or false, T or F. But true is good to go. And then say add. So I have 3 questions now. Can go back. Yes, so here we can check the list of questions we have. Filter. Yes, we have the 3 questions that you have entered. You can edit, you can delete the question if you like, and what you have entered is displayed here for us to see. Even though the answer, yes, to the correct answer, yes, is also displayed. True, right? Now, just like we imported users, you can import questions. If you have your questions somewhere formatted properly, saved as text or CSV, you can import. Let's go to import question. I have one, so let me minimize this, and let me see the list of questions. This was for a third term in a particular school. I have primary 1 in mathematics, and it's in Excel. You can open it and see. We have other classes here. Let me open it somewhere else so that we see. Okay, how it's presented in Excel. Although we use AI to generate this, you can use AI. Open. This is open in Notepad, but I wanted it to open. You see, even if it's in Notepad, the main thing is the use of commas. But let me open in Excel. You can use Notepad, you can use Word, you can use Excel. But the important thing is to use text, to save it as text. these are symbols. It was generated using AI. So these are symbols which, when displayed in the CBT environment, will be displayed very well. But the most important thing here is you see the formats: serial number, question, option B, option C, option D, then the correct answer, and then the question type. Look at the question type. It's either a single, or it's true, false, or it's multiple, and so on and so forth. So that is that. So we can import this into it. I come back to the environment. We are still talking of year one, so I pick year one maths, and then I choose that file. This is the file, question, and open, and then I import the question. 9 questions imported successfully. 1 record failed. Perhaps the format did not align, so it must align this way: serial number, question, option A, option B, option C, option D, and so on and so forth. So let's go back. Now let's check what we have there under year one filter. Yes, before we're having 3 questions right, plus the 9 imported, we are having 12 questions altogether. So we are done with that, how to add question and how to import question. Let's go back to the admin dashboard. And now we want to create an assessment. We'll go to assessment. No assessments found. None is available because we have not created any. Now add assessment. What the students that will be taking the exam will see here. You'll be able to customize how long the exam is going to take and other parameters. So now we want to create a maths exam. So we can call the assessment mathematics before year one. See the way I wrote it beautifully. Then the question group, where would the questions be coming from? From year one. We have created that. All the questions we entered so far, we entered them under the group in year one. The next question, user group. Which of the user groups will be taking this exam? What class is year one? We created users into year one. And then the mark per question. If a student answers a question correctly, how many marks will be allotted, will be given to that particular student for that one answered correctly? You can put 1 or 1.5 or 2 or thereabout, depending. Sometimes maybe you have 10 questions and you want the scoring to be over 20. So it means every question that is answered correctly will have 2 marks. But in this case, let's leave it as 1. Then show result to users. When the user finish taking the CBT exam and submits or is timeout, should the result, the score of the student be displayed to the student to see? That's what this thing is saying. If you tick it, it means show it. If you untick it, it means don't show it. But by default, it is show. Shuffle question. Should the questions be shuffled between the students? If it's shuffle, it means it is not in the same order we enter the questions that will be displayed. And it means that if 2 students are sitting side by side, number 1 in the student sitting in the first seat will be different from the question for number 1 for the first student will be different from the question for number 1 in the second student. So it means it has shuffled the question. So if you want those questions to be shuffled per student, you use the shuffle options. If you untick it, it will not be shuffled. If you tick it, it will be shuffled. So how the validity of these questions that we have entered, how long will it remain valid? Between what time and what time will it remain valid? Here it's automatically, I set it to be valid for 1 month, right? So this is 10th of November, and it will be valid for till 10th of December. Then duration, how long in minutes, how long will this this assessment last? This assessment that we have created, well, we are creating mathematics for year one, how long will it last? Remember, here you can specify maybe for year one, third term, first term, depends. Just make sure the assessment name is descriptive. This, we are in duration. Duration, how long? 120 minutes mean 2 hours. So you can leave it at that. If you want it very short, check how many questions we are having there, like 12, right? You can say, okay, answer it in 20 minutes. And then enabled is the question active. If we create it now, will it be active automatically as we are starting? You can set it on. It means it will be active. If you set it off, it means it will not be active. You can come back to set it on so that it can be active for the student to take the exam. If it's not active, if it's not enabled, the student cannot answer the questions in the assessment. So enter assessment instruction. Yes, before the student can start the assessment, there is a place you can view the instruction. So you can enter the instruction that the student will see. Here you can say answer all questions. All questions carry equal mark or marks whichever. So that is the instruction the student will see. Can give further instruction, clarification, and all that. So when you are done, you just click on create assessment, and it's telling us that the assessment is created successfully. So that is how we can manage the users, the question, and the assessment. Now let's go back to the manage assessment. Yes, this is the managed assessment. This is the assessment we have created. If you have created for English, year one, for maths, year two, all that you have created, all the assessment that you have created will be listed here. Remember, before you create any assessment, you must have a user group and a question group, because creating assessment will require you to specify the user group and the question group. Look at it. The question group must be specified. The user group must be specified. The question group, remember we created a group for questions. Maths year one, remember when we created user group 2 year one. So you must specify the question group and the user group. And these are some of the information that we have made available. Now, this is to edit the assessment. If you want to do corrections to any of these, come to edit. This is to view the assessment. This is to delete the assessment. This view assessment is very, very important. In fact, it is a live view. When the assessment is on, students are taking the exam, students are taking the test, students are taking the assessment. You can come here, view assessment, to view how the students are progressing. So click on it, view assessment. Oh, wow. Can you see all the students in year one? Those names we imported, year one, they are all listed here. If they start the exam or the assessment, you see this time they have started and the time remaining and what they have scored so far. If it's time up, you also see statistics here, total registered, of course 12, because there are 12 names we added here in that group. So 12 students are registered for this particular exam, mathematics for year 1. Remember, we will specify the duration, so it's 20 minutes base. Why it is base is because it can be increased later as student per student, because there are students that will have challenges, maybe trying to log in, the computer is not okay, why other have started, or maybe they have even logged in and then they have challenges, time is going but they're not able to do anything. So you can come here to change some setting for that particular user. Remember, this is for a particular user. So if you click score detail, you are viewing it for this particular user. If you click configure, you are viewing it for this particular user. So let's go to, now remember, these IP numbers you have here is for you to be able to log into the other system, not the server system. This computer that we install, the Fecund CBT, is the server system, but the computers, laptops or tablets or uh, desktops that your students, your candidates, your users will be using will be different from this. But you have to key in this IP address of the server into the browser. You open the browser of the user system, but make sure that your system, the server, is connected, maybe through hotspot. If you share a common hotspot with them, maybe just by sharing the hotspot of your phone, for example, your Android phone, your smartphone, you share the hotspot with the server and share it with the other laptops and with other phones that you want to use. Certainly, you have created a network, and then when you enter this IP address in those other computers, automatically to be able to access the server and the student will be able to take the exam. It will take them directly to the user page where they will be able to log in to take the exam. So assuming I'm going to another browser, but remember also, if you have a computer center, a CBT center, where the computers are already networked together, maybe by wire or wirelessly, whichever means that we are, networked together. All you need to do is just to key in the IP address that is found on the server system into the other computers. Once they are networked together, you are good to go. You just type in the IP address, this particular IP address, the one that will be shown on your server system, the one that will be shown on the system you install the Fecund CBT. You copy it and key them in into the browser web address. For example, this is 192.168.87.120. I can go to a browser. This is a browser that the student is going to use in another computer to write the exam. And now type 192.168 dot what was there, dot was it 20? Let me confirm again to be sure. 87.12 dot 87.120. Yes, this is all you just need to type into the browser, whether it's a phone browser, whether it's a laptop browser, whether it's a desktop browser, that have been network connected with in the same network with the server. So once you press this, it will take you there. Sorry, it's 87, not, see the mistake is 87. Yes, 87. 87. Good. It will take you to the login page. This side is not the administrator's page. It is for the student, it is for the user. And the name that you registered when you registered for this Fecund CBT. The name of your school, the name of your center will automatically appear here for the student to see. The student will not see Fecund CBT. All they will see is the name of your school, is the name of your center. And they'll just log in. For example, the other time we created Peter 002 also. So we can now log in. Good. Peter 002 has been logged in. And then if you like, you can view the instruction. And then you can start. Meanwhile, as the user is writing the exam here, writing the assessment here, going through his assessment, whatever is happening here, for example, you pick the first one, enter the answer. True or false, 3 is an odd number, and say true. So as the user is answering this question here, over there in the server system, we'll be able to check what is going on. For example, if you go to our assessment, manage assessment, this is maths, you will go to view, and which of the students have entered, have started exam. There is a student, you can see from here that there is a student that is making progress. He has started as making progress. We are looking for Peter. You can type it here, Peter, and press enter. Yes, it has taken us to Peter. And you see that Peter have started as making progress, right? And it's showing the time remaining. And right now it's showing you that the student have not gotten any score yet. Or perhaps we have not picked the correct score. And you can hear a beeping sound. This beeping sound is to tell us that the user, the student that has been writing the exam, have moved away from the exam window. So the sound here is to call your attention, to a particular student where the sound is coming from, to find out why is there sound. Perhaps it's just an anti-cheating method, so that you find out whether the student is trying to move to something else to be able to cheat. Now, for this particular student, Peter John, Peter Andrew, you can make some adjustments that will affect only this Peter Andrew. For example, you can check his score, but where I'm going is to configure. Under this configure, maybe the student have started exam like this as he has started now, and it's having challenges, and you need to increase the time. Already 17 minutes is remaining. You can come here under configure, and it takes you to the student Peter Andrew. You scroll down. There is a feature here I will explain shortly. You scroll down. Let's scroll down. Here you can add time. If I decide to add time to this student, I add 10 minutes. I can save. The exam is on. Here you have reset start time, but we are not resetting start time. Here you have reset completion. That means you want the student to start all over, including everything he has done. Everything will be cleared, but we are not doing that. So we are only adding additional time to the student. So we say save. When we save, it takes us back to this student, Peter. Let's scroll down. Here is Peter. Before it was remaining only 7 minutes, or eventually 6 minutes, but we have added uh, 10 more. Okay, it was remaining how many? 17 minutes. We moved down to 16 minutes. We have added 10 minutes more, so it's become 26 minutes. So that is how to increase a student's time, a candidate's time. You are not increasing generally, you are increasing for a particular student that have issue.
Now, if as this student Peter Andrew has logged in, if there is a challenge and the student needs to go and log in into another system, the other system will reject the student because the system will tell you that the student have already logged in. So how do you handle that situation? You come back to configure and now force the student out. You force log out. This Peter Andrew, you can forcefully log them out, and automatically it will be logged out from every other system or the system that he has already logged in before, so that student will now be able to log into another new system. That is how and what this force logout does. So in this user config, you have the force logout, then you have a place where you can increase the time or reset the time accordingly. So this feature is very important that you need to take note of so that you will not have challenge. Now, assuming you want to increase the time for all the students, not just for a particular student, all you need to do is to go back to the manage assessment where you have the assessment you want to increase the time. The default time there was already set. So what you want to increase the time, you can go to edit. Under edit, you move back to time, the duration. We were to use 20 minutes for the exam. Now I can say, okay, increase it to 40 minutes. And when I say save, it will affect all the students, including those that have already started object assessment. It will affect all the students that are writing this particular assessment or that have started writing, and even those that will start later. It will affect every one of them. So that is how to increase time for every student. I've shown you how to increase just for a particular student. These are very good features that the CBT, Fecund CBT has that you can make use of.